Welcome to the Money Orchard Podcast. Investors have a problem. You don't want to lose money. You don't want to run out of money. You want your money to grow, and you want a future free from financial worry. There are thousands of complex investments. Most of them fail. It's extremely difficult to know what will succeed. That's why Dennis turned financial language into a story that will change how you invest. You will see the financial world as clear as an in-focus photograph. It turns investment information into real financial knowledge that works.
Hello and welcome to the Money Orchard with Dennis Zaderaka. Today we're talking about $1 million, which I'm very excited about. Hello, Dennis.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good today.
All right. Well,
although it's always good in Arizona.
Yeah. I used to live in Phoenix years and years and years ago, and it was hot, but it was what they call a dry heat, so I didn't mind it, actually. It wasn't too bad. And the winters were beautiful. So, Dennis, we're talking about $1 million today, right? That's what you told me. So what is this all about?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question and then get your response to it. What would you do is, if somehow, magically, you got $1 million, whether you inherited it from your parents or whether you won it in a lottery, or like there's an old TV show a long time ago called The Millionaire, and this anonymous guy would give just random people $1 million, and then the whole TV show was how it changed their lives or what they did with their lives and so on. And so somehow, and I learned this from a friend of mine who, bought a company for the company that he owned, which was actually ServiceMaster. He said somehow when they would buy a company, the number was always $1 million. And he says, even if we couldn't, from our valuation point of view, say, it's not worth $1 million, is for the person, the person selling it, the owner at that point said, it was just, that was the magic number. Mm-hmm. He said, so sometimes if we really wanted it, we just paid up the $1 million because we wanted the business. And so anyway, I'm going to ask you the question. If you had $1 million, however you got it, what would you do with it?
Dennis, I've been talking to you long enough. I know. Well, I at my age, I'm 45. So when you ask me this question right now, I know that I have to prepare more for retirement than I'm prepared for right now. So a large chunk of it would go to that. Probably around $800,000 of it would go straight into retirement accounts, diversified, of course, so that I had a better handle on my retirement. Now, some of the rest of the $200,000, part of it would go to paying off all my current debts. I would also, I'll be straight honest, I will also be buying a pickup truck because my pickup truck is, it's not doing so well, Dennis. It's on its last leg for sure. But I would be buying a used one because I'm not buying a brand new truck. And then, I would gift my son and my daughter some finances to help them on their journey. And I would do that in a very responsible way because I love my son, but he doesn't make the best decisions right now in his early 20s. And it kind of reminds me of me in my early 20s as well. So I think that's what I would do with it.
Okay, now I'm gonna respond to that because generally, I ask that question a lot, and you see, different places where people's response is usually, "I'm going to Disney World, it's Disneyland. I'm going to take a trip to Europe. I take a trip to Asia. It's really the different ways that I would spend the money." Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing that we know from just practical things that happen is when people inherit money, and in many cases does not matter how much they inherited, it's usually gone in 18 months. Mm-hmm. Same thing with lottery winners.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
It's a pattern, recognizable, repeatable enough to say, like, there's something going on with this. So the psychology of it really is that when you ask the question, if you had $1 million, what would you do? The longer answer is all the things I would spend it on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's 99% of the people. Now, if you hadn't been talking to me for the last, almost 6 months in different ways, you would have answered that question the normal way.
Yeah, I would have answered it a little differently. And honestly, one of the things, Dennis, because of just talking to you and learning more about you and what you've done with people, one of my answers probably would have been, I would pay off my house, which isn't necessarily the best idea for me now that I've gotten to know you and I've gotten to know, kind of some of the processes and kind of how to think about how money works. Because that would be, at this point, I think I owe right around $150,000 on my house. So there's $150,000 that is just gone compared to, what possibly I could do, because of the low interest on the house and, what I could do in different types of savings and the different trees that you talk about. So yes, my answer would have been definitely different 6 months ago.
Yep. And taking, I'm gonna sort of argue with you a little bit.
All right.
Now, if you didn't get the $1 million, you'd still need the pickup. You'd still have the house loan. You'd still all the stuff you told me that used the $200,000 that you'd spend.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you, don't do that. You gotta act like you don't even have the $1 million. How would you pay off the house? How would you buy the pickup? How would you do these other things without spending the $1 million?
Yeah, I would continue to make payments on my house. Keep working.
Yep. And I'd say, so forget you inherited the $1 million or won it in the lottery. You can't spend it. You have to deal with your other stuff just like you would have if you didn't get it. Now, but let's back up. Like, okay, why is the answer generally in terms of all the things that I would buy and I would do with my $1 million? Now, Eric, there's examples of professional athletes that get millions of dollars. I mean, multi millions of dollars to play football, baseball, and basketball, so on. And there's, and all of a sudden they wound up break. I mean, I remember Refrigerator Perry, his money's gone. Jack Dempsey, going way, way back, is, we could go on and on. I don't want to, list all the people. But the examples of people who were multimillionaires and just dissipate the money faster than you could possibly imagine how you could spend $10, $20, $30 million.
Yeah.
It can go away. And so there's, so the question, okay, why does this happen? And I would say largely there is no class in any school about money and how to use it. Now, all the stuff we went through, I mean, high school and college, we had a lot of courses that were just a waste of time. Wouldn't it have been nice to have some kind of class that had some useful skills, life skills that you're going to need, like handling your money and so on. So, or just useful classes about how to create the kind of life that you want.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's where that's where I kind of use the idea. Money's a tool, and if you don't know how to use the tool, you're not going to use it to the most best advantage to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, going back to us as if it's an extremely high percentage. Now I would really put it like 98% of the people spend the money. But let's do a difference. Let's say in a business, most businesses by the third generation, if 100 businesses got passed down, by the third generation, there's only 2 of those businesses still active anymore.
Wow.
So by the third generation, it's depleted or destroyed.
Yeah.
So again, there's an aspect of just not understanding how to use the tool of money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, most people think of money as something to spend. But I want to make the case right now for this, and this is important. There's 2 kinds of money. There's income, and then there's capital. And capital is money making money. And that's why we call our economic system capitalism. Mm-hmm. Now, I actually taught school in the Philippines, and they have no idea a concept of is you have money, it's spent, it's gone, and they're continually scrambling around where I get enough money to, to eat and do whatever I can. So they don't understand the concept of you take some money, invest it, and that money makes money, whether you buy a business or an investment or so on. Now, again, that's why our system's called capitalism versus communism or socialism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my grandparents happened to come from Ukraine. My wife actually came from Ukraine. I've been to Ukraine, Moldova, Russia, basically ex-Soviet Union places. And my experience is communism and socialism doesn't work.
Yeah.
And even though it's been gone now for 25 years, the mental understanding of money and work and so on it's going to take probably 3 or 4 generations to get the communist system a way of doing things out of their minds. Maybe if we don't inherit $1 million, let's have a goal that we're going to get $1 million.
All right.
We want to have the goal is I want to have this money making money. And it's not so much that I want to have $1 million, it's what I want. I want the income that million will produce. In a realistic way, is if you had $1 million, you came to me with $1 million right now, I can get you pretty conservative, not pretty, I can get you on a conservative basis at least $60,000 a year.
Mm.
If we did other kinds of mixes, I guess it depends on how much comfort you have, but we can somewhere probably get around, let's say, to $80,000 without taking really too much risk.
Wow. Okay, so that changes my plan for for the 800,000 versus $1 million. Because I can pay off I can get that truck, and I can pay off my house a lot quicker, and I can pay down all my debts pretty quick with a year or 2 of that kind of extra income.
Exactly. And then guess what? You still got your $1 million.
Exactly.
Now you got a paid off truck.
Yeah, and it's a lot better than the one I've got sitting in my driveway right now. I'm liking this theory.
Well, but okay. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Did that just change? I think that just changed the way you looked at money. It's like, oh yeah, if I'm making $80,000 a year on my $1 million, why would I go spend my $1 million?
Yeah, I wouldn't even spend the 200,000 anymore, Dennis. Honestly, even though the difference between the 800,000 and the $1 million may be a difference of $10,000 or $7,000 a year in income difference, I'm also thinking of the long term, right? Because let's conservatively, you said 60,000. So let's say conservatively, I'm earning an extra $60,000 a year just from the $1 million sitting there. My debts are paid off in 1.5 years, except for the house, and then even that, look 2 to 3 years down the road, that's paid off. So now my mortgage, which between me, you, and the tree, and everybody listening to this, my mortgage is around, I think, $1,350 a month, somewhere in there. So now I have that extra income that can go join the $1 million, right?
No. Okay, I'm going to tell you no.
Wait,
I'm not going to let you do that.
Wait, why? All right.
Okay, we're going to, this is why you need an advisor to help you see things in a different way.
Okay, show me.
Okay, let's say $100,000 house mortgage, and give me your actual number. You said is what?
About 150. 150 is what I owe.
Okay, let's say it's 150, and your payment is $1,400.
Yep.
Now, what's the interest rate on your mortgage?
3.8, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay, 3.8, and guess what else? It's deductible.
So
your actual cost of money, let's say, taxes, income, state tax, and so on. So it's actually cost you only 2% per year because you get to deduct the interest on your tax return.
Well, I don't now, Dennis, because now I got to re-challenge you because of the tax law changes. I won't be able to itemize deductions. I'll be taking the standard deduction.
Okay, let's just okay.
Sure.
So just leave it straight, the straight 3%.
All right.
Why would you pay off a 3% loan when you can take the same $150,000 and go get 6%?
Well, because I don't have
with no risk.
But the 150, I don't have it.
Remember, you got the $1 million.
Correct. The $1 million is sitting there, right? But what I'm
Right,
go ahead.
Well, even if you take the $60,000, why would you use that? Why would you take $60,000 to get rid of a 3% loan when you could take the $60,000 and invest it at 6%?
I see where you're going. Okay. So instead of using the extra money coming off the $1 million to make extra payments on the house, then we're talking just reinvesting that conservatively at 6% to make more.
Exactly. So here's now this. Okay, look, you were talking. This is the way my parents raised me: is you got to have your house paid off.
Yeah, get out of debt, right? That's what everybody wants.
No, I would say you're not in debt. If you have, you should be able to pay off your house.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that you should pay it off.
Yeah.
So if you're borrowing money at 3 is what you're doing, and you're loaning. I mean, you're investing it at 6. You're gaining 3% per year. Got it. So that's a gain. But so you have the money, you have the assets over there, able to pay off the loan, but you just you can use the money better than paying the loan off.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'd love to do some long-term math on it and see how that would calculate out over the next 24 years, basically, is what I believe my payments on the house are, 23. Yeah, interesting.
It would make you sick to your stomach if you look backwards and say, "Oh, I should have never paid that off."
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about I can prove it with the math, Eric.
Mm-hmm. I know.
The problem is I can't. It doesn't answer the psychological question. I don't like having this debt hanging over me.
Yeah. But again, Dennis, I don't like the debt hanging over me. However, if I know that I'm gaining more than I'm losing by just making that regular monthly payment, I'm going to sleep just fine at night. I'll be just fine. I'm not going to worry too much about that.
And going back to it, to sum it up, is you should be your goal is to be able to pay it off.
Yeah.
That any time that you wanted to or thought it was necessary for whatever reason that might come up, you can go immediately take the money out of whatever that investment is and pay it off.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. Absolutely.
That's different.
Yep.
Now I'm going to shift it a different way. As they say, okay, how do we? This would be nice. How do we have this $1 million? I'd love to do it. How do we get there? So I'm going to talk about it this way, and I'm going to use an average of 50 people. Your income is $50,000 a year. Now I know that that's kind of the average. Some people make more. Husbands and wife work. Some they make significantly more than that. But let's just use 50 to make the math kind of easy to do in our heads, because that's all. I don't have a whiteboard to write this out on for you. Now taking you're 21 years old, and let's say you work to the the age of, everybody says 65 is kind of the magic number, is the right retirement age. I think when you get to be 65, you're going to realize, like, man, I feel better than I thought I was going to be. I like my job. I'm not going to quit. But let's say 65, that would give you, 44 years that you're going to work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And that, if you take 50 times 44, you get 2.2 million.
It's not too shabby.
So you're going to have, and if you make 100,000, just double that number.
Yeah.
But let's do, let's stay with the 50 as a unit. I mean, if you make 150, multiply it by 3.
Yeah.
But stay with that unit. That means $2.2 million is going to go through your hands. Mm-hmm. Now that's probably for everybody average. Because I don't know about you, but when I started in my 20s, I did not make as much as I did when I was 30, and as much as I made it when I was 40.
Correct. So we're talking about it averaging out. Yep.
It's averaging out. So, but as you get older, you begin to make a little bit more, a little bit more money, most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now let's take our $50,000 a year. Now, assuming that your adjustable gross income is $77,000, and that's kind of laying the groundwork. But this is the part I want to remember: federal tax on your money is 12%. Social Security is about 4%. Excuse me, that's not right. Federal is 12. State, in most cases, there's at least 4. Social Security is 6.5, and a Medicare tax of 1.45. So it's a total tax on your $50,000 of 23.9%.
Wow.
Call it 24% of your money just goes away. Yep. Before you ever get it, it's taken out in taxes. Now again, taking out for all and that's not property tax, gas tax, sales tax. I'm just saying income tax. Mm-hmm. So that's a drain. That money would have grown. That's about $600,000 of my $2.2 million that I'm going to make over my lifetime goes down the tax drain. Now, if I had that $600,000 and invested it all the way along, that 24% would have grown to that $600,000 would grow to be about $3 million.
Wow.
Now, to make it, and again, we don't have a whiteboard to do this calculation on, so basically it's like whatever you earn, and the lowest tax bracket you can possibly be in, it's 24%. If you go above $77,000 adjusted gross income between a husband and wife, and both husband and wife working, it begins to get a little easier to get over that number. That's a lot of money that just starts out gone to begin with.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know about Nebraska, but property taxes in Illinois were pretty high, excessively high. And mine, one of the reasons I moved was mine was $14,000 a year.
Oh my gosh!
So in Arizona, the exact same house, same square footage, would be about $1,400, $1,500, or $1,600, depending on the neighborhood and that type of thing.
Wow, that's insane.
So I calculated, oh man, how much did I pay in taxes, property taxes, over the last 31 years that I lived there? And it's $280,000.
Wow.
And so that money would have grown to be $1.5 million. Now here's the point: we have enough money draining out, and I'm not going to talk about all the money drains, but those are a couple of them. Is that it's easy to say, hey, save this money, you can get your $1 million and so on. I'm gonna ask you this question, Eric. If I could find money you don't even know you're losing, would you invest it to get to your $1 million?
Absolutely. If it's money that I don't even know I have, then I wouldn't miss it, right? If it was going straight into an investment account.
Well, okay, now here's money you don't even know you're losing. Did you know that how much your income just goes into income taxes, state, federal, Social Security, Medicare?
Yeah, I knew it was pretty high.
But did you ever know exactly?
Not exactly,
the answer is no. Because look, we don't think that way. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, when you lay it out on a mathematical way, it's like, hey, that's a little too much. Mm-hmm. I think I am paying my fair share.
Yeah.
And a little bit more. So that's one of the things that I'd say is, okay, because it's easy to say, hey, I'd like to have this $1 million, and they're like, oh, great idea, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a point. It's like by managing taxes and managing the way you invest your money and just a slight different positioning, that it is possible for almost everyone to achieve that goal if you have enough time. Now, if a husband and wife are doing it together, it's probably 15 years. If you're doing it all by yourself, it's probably closer to the 30.
Yeah.
Now, if we're lucky with investments and, market, pick good investments, so on, we can shorten that time a little bit. But the nice target is like, hey, if I'm 35 years old, in 30 years, I can do this.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm 40, maybe I'm making a little bit more money, so I can save a little bit more and kick that in. I can still get it in the time frame. Mm-hmm. So going back to, if I could find money you don't even know you're losing, one of those areas is taxes.
Got it.
And so there's probably, I've been doing this long enough. I met with really thousands of people over my career, and I don't know that there's anyone I've ever met that I can't in some ways find some tax money that they can cut back. They can reduce their tax bill.
Got it. So how do you walk through that with somebody?
Well, basically, we just find out what's your income, what's your expenses, and then to look. Let's take a look at your tax returns. How do you have your money positioned? And doing it this way, you would have. We already got you to admit you would do something with paying off your mortgage and be losing, money every year.
Yeah. Yep.
Simple decision.
That's good.
So and one is arbitration. I mean, how do you reduce the taxes? You arbitrage the tax department. If you have if you could itemize your deductions, and I think I need to talk to you a little bit more because we're going to have to get you incorporated, so you now have some deductions for your business.
Oh, there you go. There we go.
So there's another. I didn't exactly want to go into all the things that we can do, but I've already found two of you right now as here's how I can help you save taxes.
Exactly.
And here's how I can take your money and make it make more money than you would have if you're left all by yourself.
That sounds fantastic. All right, Dennis, we are really low on time now, and I know that you like to do one takeaway, when you wrap up these shows. So give it to us. What's the one takeaway?
Well, I'm gonna turn it on you because it's more important that based on our conversation we've had here, what's the one thing that you think you're going to do or you should do differently than you've been doing up till now?
Well, I will tell you two things. One is that I'm going to reevaluate how I think about paying certain things down, like the house and so on and so forth, because I've always had that idea in my mind that I want to put one extra payment per year toward the house. But you've really made me think differently about that. So that's one thing that I'm going to be doing is doing a deeper self-examination. And then number two is that I'm going to have a follow-up conversation with you because obviously there are a few things in here that you pointed out to me in my own personal life that need to be taken care of. And I'd love to hear more about that. So those are my two takeaways from this podcast, Dennis.
And I think I'm glad to hear that because I think that's a start. Now, if you get started on those, you're going to find more.
I know, and I'm excited. All right, Dennis, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to the next podcast. All right. And thank you all for listening to the Money Orchard Podcast with Dennis Zaderaka. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Dennis comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. And just from the topics today, I bet you have some friends and family that could use some of this information. There's a different way to think about money, and Dennis has me thinking. And now I've got to talk to my wife about the way we think about money together. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at the Money Orchard, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day, and we'll see you next time.
The Money Orchard symbolizes the portfolio, which is your money making money. When income from the orchard is the same as the income from your job, you are financially self-reliant. You have income sustainability because of your Money Orchard. Thank you for listening to the Money Orchard Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. TheMoneyOrchard.org.